I am Gary Price and I welcome you to the Script Otherworld series, starring this week no other than Avant-Garde reading for us the first chapter of 2 Moons. As guest artist we have the honor to receive Ophelia Geller. 2 Moons, a voyage to another plane, brought to you by Cola Inc. After a stressful day, refresh yourself with a cold cola. Cola, what a great way to take a break. 2 Moons by Merrick Martin Pelletier. Chapter 1, The Merge.
Elena Virgil is the heiress of the Virgil Cosmetic Company. She is among the wealthiest person in the world. At 86 years old, still controls everything. She has 4 children, 3 daughters, 1 son, 5 grandchild, and 6 grandchildren, all treated with the same detached attitude. This woman cares for herself and for profit. Her life is about discipline and obsessions. To the desperation of her entourage, it looks like she would live forever, until the heart attack. She is rushed to the hospital as life is slipping, and her soul is moving away. Around her, an army of doctors is trying their best to revive the old queen, while in the waiting room, her family is praying for her demise. Elena would have fought for her life. But moving on is like sliding in a giant light funnel with nothing to hold on to. The voice vanished then came back, but they were different. Elena starts to feel squeezed, trapped, it tickles. There is an overwhelming smell, and not one from her famous perfume line. It smells like the scent of a church during a funeral. She could almost make out the sound of people praying around her. She hates the hypocrisy of the religious ritual. It makes her stomach turn. Suddenly, in a cascade of sensations, Elena regains the feeling of her body. The voices are also getting louder and more precise. They are not praying but chanting. It is another language, weird and foreign, and yet she understands it. How could she know it? Is it a dream? Is she dead? She doesn't feel dead. She never felt better. No more arthritis or chest pains. But this chanting is driving her insane. What are they saying? Emerge. Emerge. Ancient One. Now they are pissing her off. How dare they calling her Ancient One? This comedy has to stop. Whomever they are, she will get them fired and ruin their lives. Enough. She screams out of all the strength of her lungs as she sits up and opens her eyes. Then the shock, her entire naked body starts shaking violently. But it is not her old wrinkle-used shell. She moves her arms and hands, now delicate and young. The same for the rest of her body. She grabs her breast that is no longer flat and sagging but firm and perky. But she never had this kind of breast. They always been a bit too large for her taste. This body is also way slender that she was even in her prime. Who is this body? And who are those people around her? They look scared, wearing long dresses and tunics. Their eyes are more significant than usual. What about the paleness of their skin? She realizes that her skin has this same pale color, almost glowing. They step back as she gets up. She looks around at those strangers, and somehow she knows them except for one. He is taller than the rest of them. His long white hair up in an intricate knot and twist arrangement. The man puts his left hand on her forehead. She quickly removes it and pushes him back. The car's in place, he says as he walks away. Then she feels her leg go and falls on the ground as she loses conscience. Where are my pills? You know that I always need a fresh, crystal clear glass of water and my medicines when I wake up. Her hands are searching around her, but she can't find them. You don't need that any longer. And there are no pills, Honesta. A young woman's soft voice replies. Elena opens her eyes. It is not her bedroom. The room is hot and humid and so dark except for a fine bright light filament further away. It looks like a window covered by some panel. It is from under this panel that the light comes from. She gets up and shivers as her feet touch the fresh ground. She could feel a weave texture, maybe a carpet. But why is it cool when the room is so hot? She needs to know where she is. Elena would call for help, but they are all asleep, and they would try to stop her from reaching for the light. How can she know that? Like carefully avoiding the servant body girl sleeping on the floor by her bedside. The questions don't matter. The gold light draws her. As her right hand reaches for it and the sunlight play on her skin, her heart is pounding with anticipation. No, magistrate, don't do that. You will badly bruise your skin. We need to roll down the net shield, calls the servant, now awake and standing. Elena stops and turns around. Her eyes are now adjusting to the darkness, and she can detail the room. It is a spacious space with her bed at the center. Again, the floor, like the walls, is made from this weaving substance. The servant rushes to a rack to grab a hooded robe that was hanging on it. Let me put your robe on, the servant says while running back to her master. Elena let her put the gown made of a fine fabric of iridescent purplish color. The servant then pulls the hood up to cover her head and face and steps back. She called her magistrate. Not like the magistrate she uses to know back then, but more like a queen, the leader of a vast empire. Elena walks to a polished section of one wall to look at her reflection. The woman that she sees is not her, but yet familiar. She knows her. Edda, Magistrate Edda, that is her name. She has distinctive features emanating a profound serenity. Like the others, she has those big dark eyes. Looking at this reflection, Elena feels like when meeting someone you heard about for the first time. She turns back to the servant and asks, roll down the net shield. I need to look outside. The servant goes to the left side of the window, where there is a thick rope and pull. We hear the sound of a mechanic system in motion coming from outside. The lights strip down. Elena slowly walks back to what has to be a window. She knows it is a window, but a window to where or what? The servant pulls over her head the hood of her tunic, too, then pushes the panel on the side. A marvelous scene slowly emerges. They are high above what looks like a vast courtyard bathed by sunlight. Patches of huge flowers of all colors and shapes like she never saw before, with a water stream network like veins running among them. There are small boats with people also wearing tunics with hoods over their heads. It looks like they are collecting in baskets the pollen of the flowers. She smiles, thinking, they are human bees. All around the courtyard, there are rows of giant trees with a canopy of equally big leaves. It creates the vision of a green spread that goes on as far as the eyes can see. Where's this woman that she is occupying the body? And how did she become to be in this body? Elena turns and looks at the servant, who is looking down. She knows that this poor girl probably doesn't know the answer, and even if she knew, she would not say it. This is how servants and masters behave. That seems to be a universal rule. I need to see the Elder Council now, Elena declares. It didn't matter where that declaration was coming from. She knew they were the ones with an answer.
Great performance tonight. I don't know how you can remember all of those lines. You barely looked at the script.
When the story is that good, it is easy. I am really intrigued by this Two Moons story. Do you think they will make it in a feature? Because I want this role.
I don't think so. It's just too weird. Plus it would cost a fortune. People are about war and love stories, not this stuff about reincarnation. How would they do those large eyes?
They can do everything with makeup, even making you look good. Darling, I don't think this story is about reincarnation. She dies, but ends up in a grown-up body. This is not how reincarnation works. Well, I don't think so. Gary, slow down, we can see crap with this fog. Slow down. I say slow down.